Ranking member, the gentlewoman from California, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Spotzer, welcome back. It's so nice to have a former staffer testify before our committee. Good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Today, Democrats will offer the types of bills our committee should be considering. You know, if we're going to do reform, it's just not about getting rid of regulations. We should be considered bills at lower cost for families and small businesses and protect community banks and credit unions. For example, I have a bill that would halt all Trump import tax increases and his dumb trade war until we know that small businesses and the community banks won't be harmed. I have another bill that rejects co-president Musk's efforts to end deposit insurance and the FDIC. These bills will ensure there's a future for community banks. And so, Ms. Spotzer, as I explained in my opening statement, I'm deeply troubled by Trump's and the unelected billionaire Musk's early actions, including their effort to pause all kinds of federal financial assistance. Would you discuss, you have done that somewhat, but would you continue to discuss how these efforts would hurt individuals and small banks and how they would undermine the community lenders they prefer to bank with? For example, if loans backed by the Federal Housing Administration and Small Business Administration were no longer available, would that make it harder for banks and credit unions to provide mortgage and small business lending?
It certainly would. And one of the things that I would like to point out is not too long ago, I actually received a telephone call from one of our colleagues at another organization who had received a message basically indicating that they would no longer be able to actively work in providing technical assistance to small businesses as a result of the funding freeze and a series of executive orders. I think these types of policies directly impact our ability to do what we do best as community bankers, right? Which is spur small businesses, give them the resources that they need to scale. And so as we go forward, we have to think about making a conscious decision to pursue policies that empower businesses rather than hurt them.
Thank you. The Trump administration even included interest payments on our national debt in a list of programs. They may be paused before a court blocked their freeze. If we were to default on our debt, wouldn't that trigger a broad economic crisis that would harm community banks, credit unions, and their customers?
It certainly sounds like it would. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And what will happen when Trump's new import taxes are imposed on a bank? And this could happen in a month. Will that raise the cost of groceries and gas for consumers? What about farmers who export their crops? Will they be harmed when our neighbors respond by taxing American exports? Would all of this make it harder for community bank customers to repay their loans?
Yes, ma'am. I think the broader question here is exactly what you're saying. All of these decisions have an impact on the wallets of Americans. And as a result of that, it creates pressure for them to actually continue to pay their debts. And that has an implication for every financial institution.
Thank you. Now, if we care about community banks and credit unions, Congress must not turn a blind eye to all the harm Trump is trying to inflict on working families, small businesses, community financial institutions, and our economy. Again, Mr. Chairman and members, we support community banks, and both sides of the aisle do, but it's not going to be simply getting rid of regulations that we've worked so hard to put in place so that we could protect community banks. And so I think it's important for us to look at some of these executive orders and what they're doing, and the possible harm that they may cause our community banks. And so that's what our members are going to do today. We're just going to be very open about what we understand is being done, because we all want to protect our community banks. We don't want to undermine them at this important time in the history of the changes that are being made in this country. I yield back the balance of my time.